I saved for 27 years for my daughter's wedding. I skimped on groceries, wore the same clothes for years, and didn't allow myself any extravagances. On the wedding day, she said, "Mom, you're here to serve the guests." Then I realized she wasn't worthy of such a feast. I booked the venue in my name and personally met with every vendor. I imagined a seat by the window, overlooking the oak trees, a photo of my late husband in a silver frame next to a champagne flute. I imagined my daughter looking at me and quietly whispering, "Thank you." On the morning of the reception, she didn't even look at me. She handed me a black apron still smelling of plastic and said, "You'll mean so much if you serve the guests. We have enough relatives coming. Serve the food." The words fell like a tray into the empty room. The planner stood behind her, her lips trembling with apology. My daughter's groom, prim, ever calculating, squeezed her shoulder. "It helps you stay calm, Anne. No drama, no drama. Did I really, as a mother, not deserve to be a guest at my own daughter's wedding?" I ran my thumb along the seam of my apron. Putting it on would make me look like another pair of invisible hands. Refusing would make me look like that stern mother who does everything for herself. How could my own child ask me to disappear from the day I'd built for her? I didn't argue. Not because I agreed, but because I understood what this moment was, a test, not a review of my modesty. I smiled and told her to enjoy her hairdressing, that I'd check the guest cards. When they left, I placed the apron on the gift table and opened the folder. Two envelopes stared at me, the very ones I'd been sitting in all week, final payments and tips for the band, the florist, the photographer, and the shuttle driver. The second pair, the twins, held the letters I'd written at the kitchen table. With a mug of black coffee and the porch light on, I rearranged the envelopes. Then I walked around the room like a hostess, because in the quiet ledger of my house, I was one. Vendors arrived with boxes and clipboards, hunched over pens. I greeted each one by name, thanked them, and thrust an envelope into their hands. "If there are any changes to the schedule," I said casually, "I'll let you know." The maitre d' nodded at me. Respect recognizes the one who signs. In the kitchen, a young waitress taught me how to hold 3 plates in one hand. I practiced with empty plates and tried to breathe. Anger makes you sloppy. I needed steady hands and a clear voice. When my daughter walked in, flushed with perfume and praise, she was like a candle flame. She kissed the air near my cheek. "Remember, tonight is the kitchen." I tied my apron around my waist. "Of course," I said. And it was all on my terms. There's power in choice. Appearance. She left before I could say what I'd already decided. This party would still be wonderful. It would also be a lesson. Not a tantrum, not revenge that would ruin the guest's evening, but something that seeps into the mind and lingers long after the cake is eaten. I glanced at the time, highlighted in yellow, tucked my phone into my apron pocket, and pressed my palm to the spine of the folder. What do you do when a child mistakes your love for free labor? You place your hand on the lever you made yourself and move it. The first toast began on schedule. I distributed the bread like communion, counting down the minutes. Every good lesson needs a precise turn. One day, a photographer caught me at the door and said, "You're glowing." I laughed to keep from crying. It wasn't a glow, it was a warmth taking on meaning. The orchestra was tuning its instruments, the florist was trimming the ferns. The organizer tried not to look at me. She knew exactly what envelopes awaited her. Clients. At 20 minutes past 6, I approached the maitre d'. "Dinner will be on time," I said. "One thing, no champagne." He glanced at my binder. "Understood." My daughter's fiancé approached from behind him, all cologne and practiced warmth. "Anne, my mother's asking why you're back here." "We've got staff. Don't worry yourself." "I'm not worried." I slid my contract copy to the maitre d' so the groom could see my name. "I'm working," he smirked. "Just don't forget the toast glasses." I didn't. I remembered everything. I remembered the month they looked at budgets on my sofa and the moment I noticed my bank app open on my daughter's phone. I remembered the breath my late husband would take when something wasn't right. A quiet, long inhale that meant he was cataloging details. I remembered the day I met the bank manager by name and asked about safeguards. I remembered the lawyer who told me whoever signs controls the day. I had foreshadowed the lesson. Now I would deliver it. 30 minutes before the first dance, the venue manager pulled me aside. Someone tried to switch the card on file, he whispered. A declined debit came through for the fireworks and late-night snacks. Do you want us to proceed? Declined on my account. Again. How many ways can your child ask you to vanish? How many times can you stay quiet and still call it love? Proceed with dinner, I said. Hold the fireworks. And please, send invoices to the bride and groom's email for acknowledgement. I smiled. I'll address the room before dessert. We don't do confrontations, he said. Neither do I said. We do clarity. The band launched a Sinatra standard and the room softened. Guests laughed and leaned in. I stepped back and watched the glow. I could have matched their ease. Instead, I counted. I timed the pivot to come when plates were cleared, when hunger wouldn't make the lesson cruel. The father-daughter dance began. I pressed my hand to the photo in my pocket, my husband in his suit, edges worn by use. He never met this son-in-law. He never watched me save for a wedding alone. He would have understood what came next. The song ended. I gave the maitre d' the nod. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, the mother of the bride would like to say a few words. My daughter's smile faltered, surprised. She turned to the groom, then to me. I walked to the center, untied the apron, folded it once, and set it on a chair. The room hushed. Thank you for being here, I said. You look beautiful. You sound happy. That makes me happy. A sigh of relief moved through the room. They expected sweetness. They got truth. I saved for this day for 27 years, I said. I booked this venue. I hired these vendors. I signed these contracts. Today I was handed an apron and asked to serve so there would be no drama. I won't dramatize this. I'll be precise. I lifted the binder. Every essential is paid. The food, the room, the music for your first dance. Please enjoy them. Some extras you requested, the fireworks, the champagne tower, the late-night station, are canceled. I held up one letter. Those funds are in a new account named for my daughter's grandmother, who taught school for 38 years. It will fund trade school scholarships for girls in our county whose families can't spare a dollar, let alone a tower of champagne. The room didn't breathe. Then a single clap, confused, then silence. Mom, my daughter said, what are you doing? Teaching, I said. Love pays for the meal, respect pays for the extras. Her fiancé stepped forward, crisp, smile gone. Anne, you cannot embarrass us like, please don't interrupt a woman while she's speaking, I said, and several fathers coughed into napkins. I turned to the staff. Servers, you've been wonderful. Your gratuities are sealed and ready. You'll receive them as scheduled. Your work is honorable and not part of the lesson. Wind moved through the room. My daughter's face, for the first time that day, was readable. Shock cracking at the edges into something else. Why? She asked. Because this morning you asked me to erase myself, I said. I funded a day so you could feel seen. I'll never fund a day that teaches you I belong in the shadows. I won't model that for you or for my granddaughter when she watches the video. You could have told me weeks ago, she said. I did, I said. In 100 small ways. Today, I'm telling you in one that will last. I handed the microphone back. The band lifted into the next song. People are good at returning to pleasure when it's offered. I went back to the kitchen and lifted 3 plates. When the cake cutting came, my daughter reached for my hand and pulled me to her side. Maybe performative, and maybe dawning awareness. I took it anyway. Respect grows where you water it. After the bouquet toss, the planner found me. Security stopped a man moving the gift box, she said. He said he needed to count for accounting. The groom's cousin. Hold the box in the office, I said. Change the key. At midnight, they left under phone lights. I stood at the curb. Don't leave, my daughter said softly. I'll come back in. I'm settling up, I said. Go enjoy your night. The planner folded into a chair. I've never seen it done that cleanly, she said. No scene, just a hinge. Hinges make doors swing, I said. They don't slam if you install them right. 2 days later, the bank manager called. Those attempts you flagged, she said. One came from your groom's office IP. I wanted to be sick and to applaud myself. What do I do now? You've done it, she said. We blocked the transfers. We logged attempts. If you pursue more, you have a trail. I didn't want handcuffs. I wanted a mirror held up to my daughter's choices, a line between spouse and accomplice. That afternoon, my daughter came alone. She sat at my kitchen table and spread her hands flat. Did you mean it about the scholarships? Yes. You didn't keep any of it for yourself. I kept the part that feeds people and pays workers on time. I gave away the glitter. She stared at her hands. He told me you were dramatic, that you wanted attention. Do I look like a woman who wants attention? She laughed through her nose. You look like a woman who will outlast a storm. Storms are temporary, I said. Habits aren't. She took the bolt-tightening breath. The bank called me. The venue sent me the bounce charge notice. He said his cousin handled extras. He also told me older people's accounts get hacked. She folded a napkin into squares. How did I miss this? Joy makes us gullible, I said. Love makes us generous. Neither should make us blind. You get to practice seeing now. I made you serve, she said. You reminded me I can choose how to serve. I touched her knuckles, and I chose to mean it. Can I see the letters? I slid one across. It wasn't cruel, just exact. In the event of disrespect shown to staff or family by the contracting parties, the undersigned reserves the right to cancel non-essential enhancements and divert funds to community education initiatives in the name of the bride's maternal grandmother. Essentials will be honored in full. You planned for my worst day, she whispered. I planned for mine, I said. The day my child forgot my face. She flinched. I want to meet the bank manager. You will? I said. And a lawyer? Lawyer. Not to punish, to protect. A prenup isn't cynicism, it's clarity. If he refuses, we know more than yesterday. The week unfolded like wet paper drying flat. Meetings, questions, a brittle argument with the groom. He said loyalty, I said boundaries. He didn't like those shapes. The cousin avoided us at the supermarket. The venue emailed thanks for setting a tone we wish more families would set. The school counselor slid 2 scholarship applications under my door after hearing my announcement from a dishwasher. Life is a relay. Help finds its next runner. And in the end, my daughter chose clarity. She asked for the prenup. He called her unromantic. She said, no, I'm an adult. He called me manipulative. She said, my mother saved 27 years to give me a choice. I'm making one. The engagement photos stayed lovely in their frames. The marriage certificate looked equally official, shredded in a kitchen trash bag 3 months later. We returned gifts with a letter, thank you for celebrating. Our wedding day was lovely. Our marriage was brief. Your generosity has been redirected to the scholarship fund in my grandmother's name. If you'd like it returned instead, we will do so. Some did. Many didn't. Now, people are kinder than we think. The first scholarship funded a young mechanic's tuition. She came to meet me with grease under her nails and a smile you only get when the future cracks open. I didn't know weddings could be for me, she said shyly. They're for anyone who eats and dances that day, I said, and for anyone who learns something from it. My daughter started coming over on Wednesdays. We ate soup. We learned each other again. She cried sometimes and didn't hide it. I didn't either. One Wednesday, she put her spoon down and said, he texted me. Said you turned me against him. I offered a mirror. I said, you looked. He said you always wanted to control the day. I wanted to protect the people. The day was just the stage. Do you ever want revenge? She asked, searching me. I looked at the steam rising from our bowls. Not the kind that breaks plates. The kind that changes what gets served next time. Isn't that just justice with a softer name? Call it correction, I said, done cleanly. That night, a white pickup idled at the curb outside my house longer than comfort. The next morning, my mailbox leaned at a tired angle, hinge bent. Someone had tried to pry it. I lifted it back into place and called the bank to reconfirm alerts. The neighbor's camera caught the truck's partial plate. The bank manager made a note. I watered the roses my husband planted, and the normal sound of the hose on soil stitched me back to myself. 2 weeks later, the HOA fined me for those roses. Encroachment. And my neighbor, the treasurer, stopped by with a discount buyout offer, whispered like a favor. And it sounded like someone had a landscaper cousin who needed work. Was I born yesterday? I brought lemonade to their meeting and a folder to mine. You can trim them, the treasurer said, tapping a photo. Rules are rules. Rules are patterns, I said, setting down my own photos, dated, time-stamped, with my lot lines measured twice. So are invoices. Your preferred landscaper's last 3 projects were fined first, booked second. It's coincidence, he said too quickly. It's profit, I replied, and it ends today. I slid an anonymous letter I drafted across the table to the board president, a simple summary of dates and payments, 3 addresses on our street, the HOA's charter highlighted. The treasurer went pale. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The roses stayed. The fines vanished. 2 weeks later, the treasurer resigned for family reasons. I put the saved fine into the scholarship fund. I wrote my mother-in-law's name in the ledger with a steadier hand than usual. The act didn't taste like revenge. It tasted like water after a long stair climb. The planner called. 3 mothers asked for your letter, she said. It's not a spell, I said. It might be, she laughed. Can we build it into our standard contract as an optional clause? You can, I said, but name it after the staff, not me. We'll call it the respect clause, she said. We'll tell them it protects joy. The band leader sent me a playlist. The maitre d' waved at the farmer's market. I bought peaches. I kept the pits for the compost I never remember to turn. A month later, a girl from the scholarship committee, all elbows and bravery, hugged me in front of the post office. My uncle says you embarrassed the groom, she said, pulling back. And I said the groom embarrassed himself. Don't fight with uncles, I said. Just keep your receipts. I take pictures of everything now, she said, triumphant. And I write down times. Good habits, I said. They outlast storms. The second hook in my life arrived not with thunder, but with a manila envelope slid under my door. Inside was a photocopy of a medical proxy form bearing my name and my daughter's old address, signed in a scrawl that could have been mine if you squinted. The witness signatures were cousins of the groom. The date was the day of my cardiology appointment last spring. Who files medical paperwork while a mother is under sedation? I brought the copy to the bank manager and then to my doctor. The nurse's eyes widened. We wondered about that, she said. We called to confirm after your last visit. Your daughter canceled the appointment. She sounded off. My daughter didn't cancel, I said. Her ex-fiancé did, pretending to be her. I could taste metal again. He tried to narrow my circle. The doctor flagged my file, added a password only I knew, and the clinic manager used the copy to file an internal report. The groom's number was noted. So was the cousin's. At home, I sat very still and listened to the hum in the refrigerator motor, a sound you stop hearing until you need a metronome to count with. I looked at the copy. Again, it was close enough to be dangerous, sloppy enough to be obvious. That's the most common shape of harm, almost convincing, and just lazy enough to show you where to press. I called my daughter. Come by, I said. She came in 10 minutes, hair in a rough knot, the way she wore it studying for finals in high school. I put the paper on the table. She scanned, then swore softly into her palm, one of the rare times I didn't mind the word. He said the clinic needed a backup, she said finally, voice thin. He said it was just a formality. Do you believe him now? The skin around her eyes tightened. No. Good, I said. We'll set a guardrail. You don't have to hate a man to refuse his hands on your paperwork. She laughed without humor. That should be on a pillow. It should be in homeroom. We drove to the clinic together to add her new number and the password and to remove any trace of the cousins. The nurse looked at us and at the copy and said, voice steady but warm, you two are the reason we change our policies. On the way home, we stopped for milk. My daughter stared at the dairy case as if it held answers. If I'd married him, she said, He would have put you in a facility the first time you forgot your keys. I forget my keys every week, I said, but I remember patterns. I remember your face when you put the apron down, she said quietly. It wasn't angry. It was resolved. Resolved is a useful temperature, I said. 2 evenings later, my doorbell rang at 10:40 p.m. I looked through the peephole. The groom's cousin stood on the porch, hands in his pockets. The porch light made his hair look wet. "We need to talk," he said through the door. "Misunderstandings are expensive." "Then end them," I said. "Leave." "You're making enemies you don't need," he said. "I've already got the only ones worth having," I replied. "People who try to sign my name." He leaned closer to the door, voice low. "You're old. You'll need help someday." "I'm not old," I said. "I'm practiced." He laughed, humorless. "You think a fund and a speech make you hard to move? People like me move people like you every day. They move the ones who hope someone else will notice," I said. "I notice myself." He kicked the door once, a dull thud, then turned and left. The security camera's eye followed him down the walk. The video's timestamp settled the anger in me into something smaller, a fact. I sent the clip to the bank manager. She forwarded it to a contact at the credit union my husband used to whistle about as honest. "Strange," she wrote back. "That cousin applied for a small business line with a catering company last year, denied for irregular filings. Keep your eyes open for anyone using your address or your name to establish vendor relationships." That's a common move. Attach yourself to the mother as a guarantor, quietly, then pivot. I went to the county clerk's office the next day and asked the man behind the glass how to search my name. He showed me the terminal and watched over my shoulder. 2 recent hits, the venue contract, and a notice of interest filed by a party I didn't recognize. I printed it, thanked the clerk, bought him a coffee, and read in the lobby. It was nothing, yet. A placeholder. Some people file to make collections easier later, but the party name matched the cousin's catering company. I took a clean breath. I walked to the small law office next door, the one with the plastic plant and the receptionist who knits between phone calls, and asked for 10 minutes. When the lawyer opened the door to her office, she said, "I heard the wedding story. Please come in." "It's not a story," I said, sitting. "It's a staircase." "We'll put a lock on the bottom step," she said. She drafted a notice disputing any claim, attached the video of the cousin at my door, and filed it. It wasn't dramatic. It was a pin removed from a trap before the spring could catch. I walked home under a sky that looked scrubbed. The roses needed deadheading. I picked off the browned petals and shook ants from my wrists. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a woman with a binder who knew where to stand. The scholarship fund began to live a life beyond me. The school counselor called. "We're getting letters," she said, astonished. "Girls who never raise their hands are writing 3 pages." "Why didn't they write before?" "Nobody asked them to," she said. "You asked with money." "Ask with money," I repeated, feeling again the clean hinge of the wedding night. The planner invited me to a meeting with a new couple. "They want to copy your speech," she said on the phone, amused, "in advance." "No," I said, they can copy the clause. They can't copy the moment." At the meeting, the bride's mother touched my sleeve. "Did it hurt?" she asked quietly, not about money, but about being handed the apron. "Yes," I said. "It hurt exactly as much as you think." "How did you not yell?" "I saved my voice for the microphone," I said, "and I kept dinner warm." Afterward, the planner and I walked the perimeter of the ballroom. "I want to build this place better," she said. "Clearer lines." "Start with chairs for mothers," I said, near windows. "Face the oaks." At home, my daughter sent a photo of the first scholarship recipient in a blue work shirt a size too large, smiling with a wrench in her hand. "She looks like she can fix the moon," my daughter wrote. "She'll settle for a carburetor," I replied. "Are you okay?" she texted after a minute. "About everything?" "I'm okay," I wrote. "Are you?" Another beat. Getting there. A week passed quiet. Then the second envelope arrived. No return address, the kind that tries to hide in its plainness. Inside, a photocopy of a beneficiary form with my name misspelled by one letter and a temper fuzzy at the edges like a counterfeit. The policy number belonged to a small life insurance policy I keep for burial costs and to ease whoever closes my account someday. The new beneficiary was the cousin's catering company. The paper shook in my hand exactly once. Then it stilled. I went to the insurer's office in person. The representative had the kind face of someone who keeps a sweater on the back of a chair for chilled clients. She pulled my file. "No changes recorded," she said, scanning, "but a call attempted last week asking for process to update beneficiary without insured present. We denied." "We'll set a note," I said. "Password on the account, and a phrase only I would know phrase." I smiled. "My husband's first car?" "Nobody else knows that." She typed. I closed my eyes for a second and saw that old car like a cartoon rectangle. I walked to the parking lot slower than I'd walked in. On my porch, my daughter sat on the step with a bag of groceries at her feet. "Do you ever feel like we're living in a test?" she asked without turning. "It's not a test," I said, unlocking the door. "It's a curriculum. And we're passing. We made soup. We ate it at the counter." She told me about a job offer she'd gotten. New department, different supervisor. "He said I was too particular," she said, voice light but watchful. "Particular is how you keep the lights on," I said. Friday morning, I woke to a message from the bank. "Multiple small online applications using your address were denied overnight," I called. "We already blocked them," the manager said. "We also flagged your scholarship account as a nonprofit in progress so no one can attempt to graft it into a shell. Might you consider formalizing it?" "Formalizing?" "Registering it properly," she said. "You're doing real work, Anne. Make it a door, not a window." I searched forms until my eyes blurred. Then the phone rang again. The planner. "You need to come by the venue," she said. "We found something." I drove across town under a sky hard as glass. In the office, the manager handed me a clear bin with "Lost and Found" scrawled on masking tape. Inside, a small notebook, black cover, elastic band, the kind men buy when they want to look organized. The first page, notes in a tight all-caps hand. "Gift box, move to office, count. Fireworks, chargeback sparklers, offset with vendor rebate, catering backdoor, invoice under supplemental platters, collecting cash from bride's mother for serve staff supplement." I flipped faster. Dates, names, a flowchart that connected my name to 3 boxes that ended in payout. "Where did you find this?" I asked, throat dry. "In a drawer no one uses," the planner said. "A server found it cleaning. The cousin must have stashed it after your speech, planning to retrieve later." She put her hand on mine. "We didn't think you should read it alone." The manager wiped his glasses. "I already emailed myself photos," he said. "If anyone claims it's theirs, we've got the copy." I felt the strange grace of a clean, obvious wrong. "You can build on that. A plain truth you don't have to dress up." "Keep the original locked," I said. "Send me the scans." "Do you want to go to the police?" the planner asked. "Not yet," I said. "I don't want headlines. I want habits to die quietly, the way mold does when you finally let the sun in." That night, the cousin texted a single line. "We could have helped each other." I wrote back, "No, you will help the girls who fix your car one day by paying full-price silence. Then you think you're safe." But people forget I set my phone down and looked out at the dark yard. The roses were only a shape now. "Forgetfulness is a story you tell yourself when you want to try again," I whispered. "Memory is a habit like any other." The next morning, my daughter called. "He showed up at my work," she said, voice flat with fury I hadn't heard before. "He told my boss I fabricated the prenup excuse to cover your theft." I told my boss the truth. "What did your boss say?" She said, "Bring your mother to HR. We're revising our event policy." I went. We sat in a clean room with glass walls. My daughter's boss, A woman my age with gray hair coiled at her neck listened, asked 3 sharp questions, and took notes like a stenographer. We've had 5 mothers fund office parties this year, she said. 3 were assigned to clean up. We call it volunteerism. We'll call it what it is now. We'll pay for staff, or we won't have the party. On the drive home, my daughter stared at the road ahead. Do you think this ends? She asked. Not on its own, I said. It ends because we ended ours. 3 months later, she met a man at a training seminar. He brought a thermos of tea to our first lunch together because restaurants keep old ladies cold, he said, then blushed at his own clumsy kindness. He carried the thermos for me as if it were an heirloom. He forgot it on the bench afterward, and I slipped the sleeve into my purse because he would forget it otherwise. Useful habits: noticing, gathering, returning. My daughter remarried quietly at City Hall. We had soup afterward. He did the dishes and wiped the sink dry with a towel. Like a man who knows water leaves marks only some people are asked to see. Justice didn't look like a gavel. It looked like a daughter living in an apartment with good light and fewer whispers. It looked like a scholarship application where a girl wrote, "I want to fix the engines that take people to work," and use no commas because she needed to move forward fast. It looked like a venue adding the respect clause to every contract. It looked like a band leader refusing a client who tried to dock their fee because we didn't use the third set. It looked like this. One afternoon, I found a folded note tucked into my screen door, written by a handwriting I recognized too late. "You win," it said, nothing else. I set it under a glass on the table and drank water until the thickness in my throat passed. Winning had never been my goal, but I accepted it as a byproduct of refusing to lose myself. A year after the wedding, the venue asked me to speak to their staff about why we do what we do. I told them the truth. You are not the background. You are the reason the night works. If anyone asks you to make a mother invisible, measure the room for a hinge. They laughed, then didn't. That night, I drove past the old ballroom. Boys in white shirts tossed linens into bins. The air smelled like sugar and stems. I watched a dishwasher step outside and tip his face to the breeze like a man who's earned it. The sky was empty of fireworks. The stars were enough. You want more twists? Life offers them like dishes on a tray. The HOA president knocked on my door one morning, new man, younger, embarrassed. "We found an old ledger," he said, eyes anywhere but mine. "It lists cash withdrawals we can't account for." "The former treasurer's brother owns the landscaping company I measured," I said mildly. "We know," he said. "We're refunding fines to the families. Would you accept yours back?" "I already spent it," I said. "Give it to the scholarship on our street, the girls who biked to the bus stop together?" He nodded, grateful to go, and left faster than he came. My roses caught the light and threw it back across the walk like a handful of coins. The cousin finally stepped wrong in a way that involved law. A vendor, one of the staff who'd been paid and praised too many times, brought the little black notebook to a friend on the city council. The groom moved away to a smaller town where people didn't ask as many questions. He opened a company with a new name. A year later, a bride's mother drove 80 miles to meet me and show me a photocopy of a respect letter that looked suspiciously like mine, mispunctuated and mean. "He wanted me to sign it," she said. "It was a trap. Cancel everything if a mother speaks up." "What did you do?" "I left," she said. "I booked another place." "Good," I said. "Doors swing both directions." Sometimes I still feel the old ache of that morning, the apron's cold string against my neck, my daughter's eyes sliding past me. Sometimes I dream that I'm back in the kitchen, hands full of plates, and the room won't quiet down when I step forward. In the dream, the music keeps playing over my voice. I wake with my jaw tight, then remember the room did quiet. I did speak. The hinge held. On the anniversary of the wedding that was a lesson, my daughter and I walked the county fair. We stood too long over the quilting entries. A little girl pointed at my hand and said, "Your ring is simple." "It fits," I said. At the truck pull, an engine roared and coughed and died. A teenager in a blue work shirt too big for her ran from the sidelines, slid under the front, did something with a wrench, and brought the machine back to life. The crowd cheered, she wiped her cheek with the back of her hand, and stood up laughing. I didn't know her name. I didn't need to. I recognized my grandmother's handwriting on a ledger of the heart that stretched, neat and small, across generations. On our way out, a woman I didn't know touched my elbow. "Are you the mother with the microphone?" she asked. "I'm the mother with the binder," I said. "The microphone was a moment." She nodded, satisfied. "I told my son if he ever hands me an apron at his wedding, I'll tie it on and then untie it in front of everyone." She grinned. "He said, you do that?" I said, "I do it gently." "Gently lasts longer," I said. Driving home, my daughter turned down the radio. "Do you ever wish it had gone differently?" she asked. "Sometimes," I said. "Sometimes I wish I'd had my seat by the window and your father's photo where I could see it while I ate. But then I wouldn't have said the thing that needed saying." "What thing?" "That respect pays for the glitter. And that a mother isn't a surface for other people's plans." She reached across the console and rested her hand on my forearm for a beat. "I'm still learning." "So am I said. "That's the good part. We get to keep learning as long as we're here." We passed the old venue. A truck backed into the dock. The staff laughed, that low, worn-out laugh I love. They looked like a chorus you only hear when you stand in the right place. When I got home, there was a letter in the mailbox, addressed by hand. Inside, a photograph of me in the doorway in my apron, smiling at a guest with a plate in my hand. On the back, the planner had written, "I keep this at my desk." On hard days, I remember the hinge I slid the photo beside my husband's. The two of us looked toward the same patch of window light, separated by years and paper, and still somehow shoulder to shoulder. People ask, quietly, in the produce aisle in the parking lot, in whispers at church, if I do it again, switch the envelopes, stand up, risk the look on my child's face. Every time, because love feeds people. Respect pays for the glitter, and the lesson, delivered cleanly with the dinner warm and the music rolling, outlasts cake and fireworks and speeches. It outlasts men who change their names and cousins who change their stories. It outlasts even grief, settling into the corners of a life like the smell of sugar and stems after the lights come up and the staff rolls the last cart down the hall. If you are a mother reading this and your hands shake at the thought of the microphone, practice tying and untying an apron. Practice saying essentials are paid. Extras require respect. Practice the bolt-tightening breath. Practice writing your clause. Kind, precise, non-negotiable. Practice seeing yourself at the table before you enter the room. Ask your bank manager for her first name and use it. Learn your doctor's favorite pen. Memorize your first car. Keep a binder with tabs that snap when you turn them. Arrange your roses so they face the street. Not to show off, to show up. A hinge is a small thing. It holds the weight of a door. It makes a sound only when it needs oil. It is not the door. It is not the frame. It is the promise that when you reach for the handle, the way will open and not resist. Be the hinge. Install it quietly. Invite the room to turn. The night ends. The staff stacks chairs. The band coils cables. The lights rise. The young server who taught me to carry 3 plates finds me at the exit and says, for no reason at all, "You were kind." I tell her thank you and press another envelope into her hand, not as a lesson, just because I remember how being seen feels like catching your breath after a run. Justice isn't loud. It's a scholarship notification in a mailbox. It's a line on a venue contract. It's a mother in a kitchen with a thermos of tea and a daughter who knows now how to say no to a man who calls control love. It's a notebook locked in a drawer where it will never be used and always be remembered. It's a woman at a window seat facing the oaks in her own house, not waiting to be invited to sit. And it is this, a story told without shouting, with the dinner warm and the music rolling, that teaches the room without scolding it. A celebration that became a lesson and left everyone fed. A mother who saved for 27 years for a wedding and ended up buying something rarer, a life where she and her daughter both get to keep their names.
My grandma told me this story. I have many more stories. Subscribe so you don't miss the most interesting things.